जो आपने सबसे पहले ये बात बताई about the possibility of a Sino-Indian clash, उसमें मैं दो तीन चीजें कहना चाहता हूँ
Please.
कि one way to see it, look at it, is that China and India, they have their own geostrategic spaces. Why should they clash? China can grow, India can grow. That is a hope. But in
Yeah.
the real geopolitical world, I'm told that for the first time in history, you have two powers, the world's number one and number three economies in PPP terms, growing together and in proximity. इससे पहले इतिहास में जब भी ऐसे दो पावर्स की बढ़ोतरी हुई है, they have been geographically distanced. For the first time, they are in geographic proximity. Their geostrategic trajectories are bound to clash unless India ensures that it creates such deterrence that this clash will be peaceful. अभी अमृत काल के सिलसिले में एक बात कहना चाहता हूँ. देखिए, there is much to suggest that India is the geopolitical toast of the times. There is much in India's favor. We can rattle off a whole host of statistics to say, I mean, right from The Economist to uh, Morgan and Stanley. Many people
Yeah.
have said this is India's
बहुत
economy.
बहुत बहुत बोल चुके हैं कि इंडिया विल बिकम इज राइजिंग वेरी
अभी
फास्ट.
एक दो चीजें हमने जहन में रखनी है. एक, अमृत काल now between now and 2047 coincides with China's objective 2049 wala, where it hopes to become the world's greatest power. हमारे लिए भी urgency ये है that ये 25 साल हमारे लिए महत्वपूर्ण इसलिए हैं because we must make sure that we become rich before we become old. Now, given all these compulsions, there is a possibility of our geostrategic trajectories clashing. One thing that could derail Amrit Kal is a national security reversal. इसलिए हमको इस पे बहुत गौर करना है, and that is why this subject may be of interest to us, where we are assessing China's entire power
Yes.
potential, its geostrategic poise, so as to see what could be the possible impact on India. So, is संदर्भ में, now let's get on with the topic.
Yeah.
And the first issue that I want to examine is to why China is the bubble that never pops. ये मेरा हेडलाइन नहीं है, ये हेडलाइन एक किताब से है जो थॉमस ऑर्लिक ने लिखी है, where he argues that China is the bubble that never pops. और वो कहते क्या हैं, that is very important. He says that bears have written off the chances of continued Chinese success again and again. But they have always been proved wrong. तमाम मुश्किलों के बावजूद, against many odds, many expectations, China has sustained its momentum through 4 economic cycles. Its growth continues, its wealth rises, its international influence expands. And Thomas Orlick in this wonderful book concludes by saying that the collapse of China is always coming but never arriving.
Yeah, the first book on collapse of China was in the year 2000. अभी 25 साल होने के हो रहे हैं और collapse तो हो नहीं रहा.
Or he talks of these, massive problems, accumulations of debt, declining returns on investment, property bubbles, state pushback against tech tycoons like Jack Ma, factories which are fated to bankruptcy, ghost towns, और जो पूरा वेस्टर्न प्रेस है उसमें ये सब संभावनाएं भरी रहती हैं. But why, he argues, why does this not happen? अब ये एक बड़ी विचित्र बात है. He says the policy makers are aware of the risks, but they are agile and responsive. China may be an authoritarian state, but it is a competent state. मिसाल के तौर पे वो कहते हैं 2017 में there was a national financial work conference, which is actually a conference of China's economic elites, which was chaired by President Xi, and deep analysis was done of how in 1989 Japan's excess lending led to the end of the reign of the Liberal Democratic Party. In 1997, how the financial meltdown led to the end of Suharto's reign in Indonesia. In 2007, how the subprime mortgage crisis, brought about ultimately Trump's sweep to power. They also diagnosed 1930s में जो Great Depression था,
Yeah.
how it led to power transition from an exhausted Europe to a vigorous USA. तो मैं बात जो ऑर्लिक साहब रखते हैं, what I wish to reinforce, that they study all these crises in great depth. Z is present all through the 6 days of the conference. And not that the state does not make mistakes. Their one-child policy has gone horribly wrong. But it is a competent state which is constantly making adjustments to take care to make sure that the bubble never pops. Smart economists and a whole lot of other policymakers, they apply their minds to it. And therefore, China sustains its phenomenal growth while apparently flouting conventional economic precepts. तो और वो कहते हैं in conclusion that China offers a balance of risks and strengths. Balance of risks and strengths in sustaining this economic miracle. And therefore, it must be taken seriously. China is a resilient adversary. There is therefore a lot to worry, or a lot more to worry than we sometimes do. वो एक और चीज कहते हैं, and many other observers say it, that जो recent जो China की policy में बदलाव आया है, they say China is now marching to the tune of left, right. Left on ideology, left on the economy, but right in terms of nationalism. This is all part of that broader strategic adjustment. It is carefully thought through because Z is getting advice from his confidants who tell him, अब ये एक बात है जिस पे बात हो सकती है. वो कहते हैं साहब दौलत बहुत हो गई. Enough of wealth. Your time has come to restore China to its greatness. They argue that Mao gave us the revolution, Deng gave us wealth, Z will restore us to greatness. And how greatness? Two ways. One is reunification of Taiwan, and two is by emerging as the undisputed regional hegemon. अभी जो दूसरी बात है, they don't say it explicitly, but in many writings this is suggested. And they say there can be only one tiger on a hill and so on and so forth.
Yeah, इसमें doubt नहीं है. और दूसरा टाइगर है इंडिया.
तो जो आपने वो बात कही सर, and this is where I say, while all indications suggest that he is interested in Taiwan, there is nothing that rules out that he cannot be looking at India.
Actually,
yes.
Actually, if you see, in the past 10 years, ever since this thing, every time he's met Prime Minister Modi or he's come to India or Prime Minister Modi has met him anywhere, within a month, there's been an incident on the border.
So that should explain Galwan and all that is happening.
Yes.
Otherwise, there is no other rationale why he should do what he's doing.
What he's doing.
और एक और बात which I found extremely unique. Most leaders, most politicians talk of the primacy of the economy, which also makes sense. But see what Z says. Z says as important as economic prosperity is, it is military power that ultimately lies at the heart of state power. Now, this is a very unique. So, when we look at China through our lens, we wonder why it is not benign. But when China looks at itself through its own lens, it is not surprised as to why it is not benign. So,
look,
once
you actually you have underlined what I started with. We don't take Mr. Xi Jinping seriously. He's always spoken of security. He's always spoken of military prowess. He's always spoken of using the military to, get back to China's strength and restore China's, lost heritage.
I've also not heard of any leader in recent times who repeatedly tells his PLA that be prepared
Fit for
to
war.
fight and fight to win.
Win.
Somewhere else, I don't know whether the nuance has been captured accurately. He has said that fight only when you are 1000% sure that you will
That you'll
win.
win. Yeah.